So, hello, Natalie.
Hello, Kirsten.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Happy to be here. Happy to have a little chat with you.
Nice. So, yeah, and I'm of course happy to see you. So, just to set sort of the scene, we're in London in our own individual homes, and we are both in isolation because there's a lockdown, and I think we are both on our own, right? I'm on my own. My partner is not here with me, isolating, because we don't live together. And you're on your own, right?
Yes, I am actually. I live with my partner, but he has been stuck in Spain, so he can't come back. So I hope to see him in May, maybe, or June. We will see how it goes. But yeah, he has been there since the mid-March, and he couldn't come back.
Wow.
So I am by myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. I mean, the good thing is that he's in a place in the middle of nowhere, so he's safe with lovely people. So yeah, he's in a good place. Yeah.
There's, I thought about that earlier today. There's a quote, and I was going to look it up, but I forgot to do it. But I think it was a French philosopher actually who said, probably in 1800 something, all of man's problem is that he can't sit in a room on his own. Yeah,
That's a beautiful quote, because it's true that if I look at my life and some people around me, is that we are all the time on the run. We are doing so many things. We are all the time in the doing modes, and this period forces us to slow down, to pause, and maybe to reflect and to go within. So it's something we are not used to do.
Exactly. What I noticed the first week, because we've just gone into our second 3-week lockdown, or at least for 3 weeks. So what I noticed the first week was that I thought, I went into sort of a thinking mode of, wow, I've got time now to do all these things that I don't normally have time to do. So now I'm going to do. I'm going to make this and do that. And suddenly one morning I thought, but this is just me still doing the normal sort of being busy. I was just doing the same busyness. So I thought, I really want to come down into my body and be way more present, and of course do certain things, but really be aware of not getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, it was the same. I mean, I must admit, because the way I work and the business is mostly online. So I spend a lot of time in front of my computer, in front of the screen, and it's quite tiring. And it's the same. I mean, I would love, to read, to do a few things, but I have begun to put things into place. But it's all about, how do I organize myself? How could I find a balance on a daily basis? Because I found myself being in front of the computer quite a lot and said, as we say, nothing, if you do something really a lot, it's not good. It's preferable to do different things. So it's about finding maybe your own pace, your own strategies to deal with each day, and to find a balance somewhere.
That's true, isn't it? It's actually about each day at a time, or maybe each hour at a time. Yeah. And I think, I'm sort of wondering whether, there must be other people who, when it all started, thought, what's wrong with me? Why am I, why are all these feelings coming up? Why am I suddenly feeling this way? And I think, especially like you said, if you live with someone and you suddenly have to be with partner and children 24/7, I mean, and then at the same time there's stuff coming up because we're not distracting ourselves with work. Because in a way we could say, our everyday work is also not a conscious distraction, because it's what we do to, you know, feel inspired to earn a living and so forth. But it is a distraction from really maybe being in touch with what our essence wants to say, or the song of our heart. So yeah, I thought, I think it's important to talk about that it's normal, that we feel, you know, one day we might feel absolutely fine. That's what it was like for me, especially the first week or two. One day, absolutely fine, and I felt energized. And then I might have a day where I thought, oh, I'm really noticing things, emotions, feeling a bit sad, feeling a bit lonely, feeling a bit overwhelmed. And, you know, I looked around and I thought, gosh, I haven't even tidied up properly.
I'm smiling, Kirsten, because actually it was the same for me. Especially as the 2 first weeks, I went through, like, you know, some really different feelings and emotions on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And it was the same for me. You know, there were piles of things around me, and I didn't want to clear, you know, it's like, no, I didn't, you know, I wasn't bothered to do something around me.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it has forced us to really be with ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to not, we have to slow down. It can't be the same rhythm.
No.
So it's about maybe being more in contact with all these feelings, because, or emotions, because we might have them on a daily normal basis, but we can't feel them. It's like we don't want to feel them because we are in the busyness of the day. So this period is about, yes, they're coming up, we can feel them. Okay, let's acknowledge whatever is there.
Exactly.
And go with it.
Yeah, exactly. Allow it to come up, so we don't just spend this time pushing it down like we normally do. And then you could say, but why can't I just push it down? How is that a problem? But it is a problem, isn't it? Because then it sits there in our everyday lives, and it comes out in the shape of maybe overeating or over drinking, or habits that aren't good for us, or being snappy, or whatever, overreacting to things. So yeah, like you said, to really allow it to come up and to sit with it is important. Yeah.
And you were just giving some examples, and it's a way to numb ourselves. And yes, and I would say, yeah, let's just acknowledge whatever we feel at the moment.
Well, one of the things I like doing, if I can feel things coming up, I sit down with pen and paper, so not on a phone or a laptop, and I just let my mind have, whether it's a rant or, you know, just a stream of consciousness, just letting it come out without analyzing it. I don't show it to anyone. Well, I can't at this moment in time anyway, but it's just a matter of just letting it come out, and kind of being that space that can hold it, that can just allow it to be without saying it's wrong or I shouldn't be feeling this way. And also, I find it really interesting. The other day what was I doing? There was some kind of feeling coming up, and I felt a bit sad, and I thought, okay, I'll just sit with it. I'll just sort of kind of meditate, just sit with it. And it reminded me of a time, now I can't remember what it was, but it was a time in childhood of feeling a bit lonely, or feeling a bit isolated. I think it was something about my sister was a lot older than me. So in a way, when you're the youngest and the others are doing adult talk and you're a child, that can feel a bit, well, it could for me feel a bit lonely. So I noticed that there was a bit of resonance with that. And I was just really pleased that I did that, that I just sat with it, because just bringing awareness to it, so that could sort of, it could just go. Yeah.
So it can after go. It's not anymore stuck in our body.
Yeah, exactly. It's not pressed down or stuck.
No. I have noticed that I'm not a person who watch TV, and at the beginning of the social distancing, I watched the news, and I have decided to watch the news for 2 days in a row, and I never do that. And I felt some anxiety in myself. I really didn't feel good, and I have noticed that. And actually I said to myself, stop that, Nathalie. You can have information through internet without watching, the news on TV, because what is happening, what I find, is that when you watch TV, they're all the time repeating the same message, and it's obviously, it's not, I'm not dismissing what is happening. Some bad things are happening. Some people are touched, some people are dying. So I'm not dismissing at all what is happening, but I decided not to watch the news every day, because I know that I don't feel well. It doesn't sit well with me. So I am informed by other ways, but I choose to really to be connected to myself, and to really to build this, to be in touch with my inner person, where it's really calm, it's really zen, and I'm trying to be there, to hold that, to hold this this space for me.
Yeah, exactly. I like that you call it my inner person. That's quite nice. Yeah, I don't know if there are other things not to do. For me, I think it's about being mindful, not being mindless, not do the busy. Oh, in the beginning as well, I stayed up quite late in the evenings. I was busy creating this little website that maybe someone is watching this on, our chat, Calm and Connected .online. So I was working on that till late at night, and at some point I thought, this is not healthy. This is again one of these things where I'm just busy being busy, even though I was producing something. I didn't have to do it at 2 o'clock at night. So I've made sure now I go to bed on time, I get up on time, I get my exercise. The other day I went for, I try and do 10,000 steps a day, and I do yoga as well. So the other day I went for a walk, and part of me was going, walk faster, because it's good, it's more like exercise. And I thought, no, just come into the body and just feel, what does my body feel like doing right now? What does my body need? And it just wanted to walk in the sunshine, slowly in the park, and just taking in everything. And yeah, that felt really good. Just that presence, that mindfulness.
Yeah. Actually, yes, I am a little bit like you. I like to meditate every day, because I come back to myself, to do some yoga also with my mat. And actually, the last time when I went to buy some food, I was walking really fast, and suddenly I became aware and said, why do I walk so fast? Nobody is waiting for me at the shop. Nobody is waiting for me at home. So just take your time. And it was a beautiful day, but I was walking like in an automatic mode, and said, okay, just take your time. You might not go for a walk in the park. You are just going to buy some food, but just enjoy, going there. And actually, I really slowed down my pace, and I really enjoyed that. And actually, even my experience in the shop was great, because you have to queue before going into the shop, and you don't have a lot of people there. So it was really quite a nice experience.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? A lot more mindful.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 it's nice. I'm seeing way more colors when I walk in the park. I'm noticing things much more. And yeah, that thing of having time, there's not a, I have to be home at a certain time. It's
Mm.
really special. It's
Yeah.
almost like being a child again, in a way.
Yeah,
With
I
color.
mean, I'm really grateful because we have a garden and the garden is quite mature and
Mm,
we have all with the spring, all the flowers coming out. And it's such, you know, a
wow.
pleasure to see. We have a little weeping tree and all the leaves come out and it's like coming, everything comes alive.
Yeah,
And it's such a pleasure to witness that because again, if I wasn't here every day, I would have seen it maybe, you know, the tree without leaves and suddenly with leaves. But
yeah,
now I have seen the whole process every day and it made me really feel good and joyful to see how it comes out. And actually, I think I have shared that with you before.
mm,
I have bought some organic seeds and I was planting my seeds, and I planted some. It was some radish, some carrots, you know, a few things.
mm.
But I'm so excited to see them grow.
So nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, really sort of back to basics.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like,
That's it.
yeah, yeah. It makes me think. You know, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I hope when the world goes back to normal, that it doesn't go back to what it was, but actually a better version of that." So it's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see
Yeah.
what. I mean, I'm maybe that's the wrong way of phrasing it because that's like I'm going to sit and observe. It's going to be interesting because it all starts with ourselves, of course. Um,
I agree with you. I mean, yeah, it begins with ourselves.
yeah,
And actually, it's also a good period to ask ourselves question, what would we like? How
yeah,
would, what type of world would we like to live in?
mm,
What is important for us? How do we see ourselves in 1 or 2 or 3 years? I think, yeah, it's a period of reflections.
yeah. It really is. I really enjoy that. I mean, and also the fact that the whole world, again, with the deepest respect for anyone who's suffering, um, but the fact that the whole world is in this situation, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because if we were courageous, all of us, and looked inwardly, um, you know, we can make some shifts. And of course, that will create shifts in our own environment and that will create shifts in society because we are society. Society
Yeah,
is not a thing out there. We are society.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you because sometimes we might, you know,
Mm,
criticizing the leaders, etc. But they have their roles, but we have our roles also,
yeah.
and it begins with us, with
Mm,
what we do, how we are in our daily life,
yeah.
and I think it was the Dalai Lama who said, you know, to change. Let let's be the change we want to see. Let's be the change that we want to see in the world. So
Yeah.
it begins with us,
Yeah.
and
Also
after,
Gandhi or, yeah.
yeah, or
Yeah.
yes, I don't
Yeah.
remember. I'm really
No.
bad with
No.
you know, with the codes. But for me, I see us like, if we begin with us, it's like
Mm,
ripples. We are little lights, and this light is shining around us.
yeah.
And more we have lights, they are all connected, and shifts
Yeah.
begin.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And again, that brings us back to this thing of nurturing rather than numbing ourselves, but actually sit down, be courageous, and see what's there so we can kind of declutter a bit
Yeah,
and create a almost like new soil where we can plant some new flowers and new plants and be conscious of what we want to plant and know that it does matter, it is important. Because it's also easy to think, but that's just me, or what does that matter? But it matters, because like you said, we're all like little lights, little souls, and we influence each other.
I would like to share something about my mom, because she lives in a building where you have different neighbors. And one day I had her on the phone. It was 2 days after what has happened. And I said, "Oh, how are you, ma'am?" Because she didn't want to tell me before. And she said, "Oh, actually, 2 days ago, I wasn't feeling well." And I said, "What has happened?" She said, "I was by myself in the apartment, and with the social distancing, there wasn't any noise outside, no one outside, no noise in the building. And I felt so alone." And what she has done, which was really great, she called her neighbor, and I know her. And they decided since then to bring the little chair in front of the apartment, and there are 3 neighbors, put their chairs together, and sometimes they will have a tea together, everyone, bringing something, or a little aperitif, and she really treasures, these moments, because it's a way to see people for real. They're not touching each other. They are, still having the distance, but it's because all these different ways of communicating are great, because we are communicating. But at the same time, it's like seeing someone is a little bit different.
That's lovely. How beautiful. That's really nice. I bet there are lots of bonds being made. Yeah, at the moment. I mean, there's lots of good stuff happening out there as well, isn't there?
Yes.
I saw, this was a Danish Facebook post. Oh, I think it was from a Danish news program or something. They put it on Facebook, where some young children, maybe they were 13 or whatever, they would go out to older people who couldn't get to the shops themselves, or maybe were worried about going outside. So they would go and do their grocery shopping. And these children were, I don't know, you could say maybe not children who would necessarily, you could hear how they spoke about the elderly people with respect, but it's almost like they weren't used to interacting with people, sort of 2 generations or 3, maybe even older than them. But that was a really nice thing too. And I wonder whether, again, that could be part of things becoming better afterwards, that some of these bonds will stay.
Yeah.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be, because I agree with you. I have seen some incredible people putting into place, things for in service of other people.
Yeah, and it's important that we do the thing that is right for us.
Yes.
Of course, it could also be easy to sit in isolation and think, oh, I should be in service. Should I be out there doing something? But taking time for ourselves, or for people and families, being there for their children, that's also being in service, isn't it? Because like we said, if we can transform what needs to be transformed for us to feel more calm and connected, that way we are enriching the world. We are doing something for the world.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So we're all contributing.
Yeah, exactly. In our own ways.
Yeah.
Because again, we are all different. So it's about really, as you said just right now, it's about really finding your own pace, what is right for you. And not comparing ourselves to others, because our circumstances, our life is completely different from each other. So it's really about connecting within ourselves and feeling, what is right for me right now.
Yeah, exactly. Really honoring that.
Yeah.
Because that way we learn to to relate to ourselves, to connect with ourselves, and hopefully, yeah, with kindness, of course, and hopefully we can take that with us into the future. Yeah.